return my sweets? And just how are you going to return my sweets? But yes, if you can bring them back, then you can have your ring